Hello everybody, I am Mushi, and I am continuing on with the life-changing magic of not giving an F*CK or hoot. We are on I am on part 2. I've spent the last 2 weeks working on part 2, or going through it and writing it out, because this is the one where you got to write out a whole bunch of lists and stuff. And actually, my life has been a complete shit show recently, and I have been also going through my own personal depressive and anxiety things. So I decided to continue to go through this book, but to do it also through the filter of mental health and helping me to combat my depression and helping me to combat my anxiety. With depression, sometimes I do not actually know what to give a hoot about. And so doing this will help me to know, what do I give a hoot about? And in the anxiety, I give way too many hoots. So this will help me to figure out what are the hoots that I actually give. So, because you cannot gather all of your hoots up into a pile like you do for KonMari and go through each thing individually, excuse me, she has devised a space where all of the mental hoots would then be. For her, she calls it like a mental barn. For me, it didn't end up being a barn. First off, it started out, I'm like, okay, a mental barn, and nope, it wasn't barn doors. It was an attic door, and it was a very specific attic door. It was the attic door in National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, and it was like Clark Griswold, my goodness, Clark Griswold had, opened it up and gone up to go and hide a present up there. So it was like that, it was inviting for me. And so I go up, in my mind, I go up, up into the attic space and everything, expecting to see an attic space. And it wasn't an attic space. I was on the balcony. So you walk up the steps and boom, I was on the balcony overlooking Warehouse 13. If you know, you know. If you don't, it was a show on Sci-Fi, and it was this giant secret warehouse that was like partially inside a mountain inside South Dakota, and it just was like huge. It had everything from like a telephone to the Hindenburg, okay, and it had everything in it. There's a lot more to it, not important to this story, but it was just such a huge, expansive space. It just goes on as far as the eye can see. I'm on this it's like a metal grate balcony, and I'm like, oh wow, this is something here. Great. She's all talking about a barn, and I've got this like ginormous self-growing warehouse, and there's a zip line. There's a zip line that takes you deep into the warehouse. That's a lot of hoots, okay? To fill up a Warehouse 13, that's a lot of hoots. So that was a little overwhelming. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a little bit much. Luckily, Sarah Knight, author of the book, she came up with 4 categories for you to sort all these little mental hoots into one place. And so, first one, things. Things are concepts, but just things. I immediately knew exactly where it was. Boom, on the right from me, down these stairs, right there, boom. There it is. Middle shelf, middle shelf, middle shelf, middle shelf. Things, 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 things. Okay, you're there. Awesome. Next category. She then said work. I'm like, boof. A ginormous, but a carousel, okay, appeared in the center of the warehouse. Zipline probably goes to it. A carousel for the work category. There wasn't the horses, but it was a carousel. I'm sure there's a metaphor in that. So then I was like, okay, great. I happened to then at this point realize that there was a building in the far, far back right. Like behind the carousel, I could kind of, and I could see like it back there. And it was a building, and I could see on the top that it was kind of maybe like a garden terrace or something. And then I could see that there was like a floor below it with all these brightly lit lights. And then I could tell that there was a floor below that, but it had like tiny windows and it was kind of dark. And then I could tell by the height that there was probably at least one more floor down, but I couldn't see anything. It was way too far, way too dark, in the deep pits and everything over there. And all I can think was like, oh shit. What the hell is that going to be? So going back to what are her categories? What are her categories? So the next category was friends, acquaintances, and strangers. Immediately, boom, entire left half of the warehouse. Left half. I'm like, my God, I have so many issues. I'm like, okay, I know most of them are probably acquaintances and strangers because, like, I don't really like people. So, probably has something to do with that. So then I'm like, okay, well, that means there's another category. And I have that building over there. Family. I'm sure there's a metaphor in that one, too. I put them all in that building in the dark, far corner recess. Okay. Alright, so gotta dive right in, right? So diving in, what is it we're doing is that you kind of go in. You meander through that section of your mental me warehouse, and you just are taking inventory. You're just, for the list, you're just writing it all down, not coming up with any answers or decisions. It doesn't matter. If you give a hoot, or if you don't give a hoot, it doesn't matter. Write it down. So I have a couple examples on the different ones. I'm not reading all my lists. It's, they're personal and probably boring to other people. But some things. Hang up here higher. Blankets, old toys, VHS tapes, paper photos, vanilla, and hey, don't be hating on vanilla, okay? I'm tired of this vanilla hate. Or this vanilla against this vanilla, like, oh, that's so vanilla. I'm so tired of it all. Vanilla is expensive. For those vanilla beans, you get one damn bean, and it's expensive. And they're so versatile. You put vanilla in practically everything, and it makes everything delicious. So, you know what? Life is too short to not eat vanilla. So there you go. All right. Apparently, I care a lot about this one. Lots of hoots about vanilla. Okay. Uncomfortable clothes, fantasy shoes, comfortable seating. Oh, my mom's cross stitch. Oh, you can't see me. There's a couple over here. My mom made some cross stitches when I was a child. I did some too, but I have some of hers, and some family members after she passed gave me some of the ones that she had given to them, 30 years earlier or something. So it's really cool. Wow, we were really bouncing around. Like I said, I'm in an RV. It is very, I don't know if I said it this time, but I'm in an RV. And if anybody walks around, it gets really bouncy and you can feel it. And I'm sorry if you can hear the football game that is playing in the next room. The wall is like this thin. So, we're all doing what we can do, okay? There's different people in this space. So I'm sorry about any of the sounds, and I'm really sorry if things get all bouncy. It bothers me. So if you don't care, good. If you don't give a hoot, awesome. Okay. Also with the concepts, I came up with like heights, small spaces, dancing, clean laundry. Okay. And so moving on. So those are just some examples of my list. You know, just writing it down. La la la. Next, work. So I have a thing, and I realized, yes, I am on this merry-go-round, at least in my mind right now, a merry-go-round when it comes to work. Just like the carousel, I am on this merry-go-round where I work right now for myself, where I'm I'm building these businesses with my son, and we're working for ourselves. Some of the reasons are, some of my personal, either my physical and my emotional ailments. I do find it difficult to be around big crowds or a lot of people for extended periods of time. And I have tummy issues where sometimes I really just need to be in my pajamas. And working for yourself, at least at home, you can do that. And so I have a reselling business on eBay with my son, and we also have an Etsy crystal business, or little shops. They're very small little shops right now. We are growing them as best we can. And so I have this merry-go-round of where this isn't, it's not really making us enough. It's not really providing enough. And so it's like, well, I feel like I need to get a job out. And then going through the process of thinking about getting a job that's out in like the real world, I guess. And going through all of that, then I have like all of these other things come through. And it's like, okay, well, yes, exactly. That's why I work for myself at home. And then da-da-da-da. Oh, but this isn't really working out. And so I need to get a job out. And so merry-go-round, little clown show going on. And so I decided to do a list of working for myself and then working outside in the real world. So for myself, some parts of the list: motivation, time, feeling inadequate, inconsistency, and the space it takes up. Some examples. For the outside, co-workers, a boss, dress code, having to struggle through my personal ailments, and commuting. So those are, just some things on those lists. And so I want to talk about in this, a quote from it. She says, "For now, remember that you should only give a hoot about things you can control and no hoots about things you can't." So that is something that it's like, yeah, I'm going to have to try to keep checking in with myself about that one. And I really wanted to read this little blurb. It's in a box, where they do that sometimes. They put like a little story or a blurb or something inside a little box. So I wanted to read you this one. It's called The Likability Vortex. Being liked and being respected are not necessarily the same thing. For one, it's a lot easier to keep your job if you are respected rather than merely liked. I've liked plenty of incompetent wastoids in my time, but I wouldn't hire them. The likability vortex occurs when you care more about being liked than about being worthy of respect. You wind up floundering inside a devastating fucknado of your own design. Why? Because you can't control whether or not people like you. You might be a funny person, but your particular sense of humor might not jive with theirs and they won't like you. You might be super friendly, but they might perceive you as weird and not like you. You might be completely inoffensive, but you remind them of their ex-boyfriend and they just don't like you. What you can control by giving your hoots to the aspects of your job that make you damn good at it is whether you are worthy of others' respects. They may or may not give it to you. They've got their own hoot budget, after all. But if you're doing a good job, at least you know you're worthy. And if doing a good job means spending more hoots on getting shit done and fewer on whether people like you while you're getting it done, then you've escaped the likability vortex and the fucknado that comes with it. Nice work. Take the rest of the day off. And so we will take a little break, actually. And before we move on to friends category, you, friends, are going to get a this or that reading. This or that. It is where it is when there'll be two cards. You get to choose. It's not like a... I guess it is kind of a pick a card, but it isn't like a whole reading. It's just... I have blessed these cards and everything, so I'm just trying to... So now we're just waiting on what's going to come out. We already got one. And this is where you decide, like, your day. How do you want to frame it? Or what do you want to learn from it? Or what is something to take from it? Or what's something to focus on that day? You can choose neither. That's something I noticed that nobody ever says, you know? I guess they figure if nothing jives with you, you're not going to pick anything. So, all right. Now, if you've seen other videos of mine, this might be really funny to you, or other videos. This is like my 4th or 5th video. Okay, so other videos, really. Okay, well, in my last video, I had a video of decluttering my open-air closet. And there's a thing about 33. This card is 33. Oh, where are you? The return of the lost selves. Okay. I don't know, I think it's really beautiful. It's going to make me cry. Okay. And the next one is 36. The truth comes softly. This deck is called Into the Lonely Woods. It is so sweet. I'm a lonely kind of, like, I'm a hermit though, so I like it, but I really like this deck. It's really sweet. In this one, the return of the lost selves. I think that this guy, he's given the owl the egg. I don't think it's the other way around. I think he's saying, hey sir, I found this. Here, have this egg. I found it. I think it's yours. And this bird and this owls to me, oh man, they're so wise. And they really, really, really resonate with me as being like a spirit that really, like, or a spirit animal that really helps me. And it kind of makes me a little bit inward whenever I see an owl. I kind of, I go inside. So, and the lost self, you know, maybe yourself, a part of yourself. Can you find it? Maybe this guy help you find. Maybe I can help you find it. That would be cool. And then the other one, the truth comes softly. I mean, look at this. Oh gosh, look at that butterfly just coming and landing on his nose like that. And butterflies are like so transformative and stuff. Like they have no idea that when they're a caterpillar and they're doing that whole thing that they're gonna come out some like glorious beast. They have no idea. And so butterflies are super cool. And look at this guy. Did this guy have any idea that he was gonna get the delicate little pattering of a butterfly on his nose? No, he did not. But it came to him. The truth came. It came softly. It came not as he expected. And it came right in front of him. Came right up to his face. Gave him a kiss. Oh, wow. Well, I'll tell you that my son before told me, you know what, you should have picked both those cards because both those cards went with what you were doing. I think that this time I think I really do want to do that. But what do you want to pick? This or that? To kind of frame your day. Do you have a part of yourself coming in? Are you waiting on a part of yourself to come in? Do you have some soft truth coming in that maybe you didn't realize was truth coming in? For me, I am going to choose both. I'm going to choose the truth of myself coming back to me. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. What are you going to do? This or that? Okay. Thank you. And thank you, really, thank you for anybody that lets me, you know, that humors me on doing this. I think that's really sweet of you. And for those of you that really like it, thank you, thank you, thank you. And, yeah. Okay. And for those of you that it's not your cup of tea at all, I'm so sorry. I should have said this at first. But you can always skip ahead and you don't have to watch it at all. Okay? Thank you. All right. Next, the third category, friends. Friends. Okay, the third category, friends, acquaintances, and strangers. This one, there's a lot more like meat. Probably because this is a lot closer to you. So first off, I want to read this one quote. It is, "We love our friends. That's why they are our friends. But all relationships are complicated. And sometimes friends get on friends' nerves. The thing is, other people deposit a lot of their hoots in your mental barn. Some of these are short-term storage. Some have been gathering dust in the back corner for years. But the real question is, how did those hoots get there in the first place? Oh, that's right. You let them in." So she's saying, maybe you should put up a little fence around your barn, a little boundary. I have a thing where I call on perimeter. And so as soon as I was reading it, perimeter. And so my perimeter is all, you know, boof, 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 boof. All these little towers, and then like an electric kind of fence forms kind of around them. Once again, I am a movie and TV show person. So yes, the perimeter is very similar to Resident Evil 3. Resident Evil 3 with Claire Redfield, you know, and her group. And she's all, where's my perimeter? Anyway, that's my perimeter. So she's like, put up a boundary fence or a perimeter to try to keep out other people's hoots. Stay out, man. So she went into a couple of categories that people go through in friends and strangers and acquaintances. One of them is like giving money, solicited or not. You just need to be, like, if it's a friend, you know, and you don't believe in whatever they're fundraising or asking for money for or whatever, you can just, you know, you can be compassionate to them and wish them luck and hope that they can get through this, but just explain you just don't have it in your budget to give to this. I mean, it's fine. It's their fundraiser, but it's not in your budget to do that. I thought that was pretty cool. So then she has this section on personal policies, because people will respect personal policies even more than they will, especially more than they will respect somebody's opinion. I made up a little card with her little phrase thing so that I can feed in the different things. And I'm like, oh no, I have a policy against eating in restaurants. I just have really the worst luck whatsoever in restaurants. Like, my friends, seriously, they're all like, wow. Like, they never had these kind of experiences. They go with me, and it's a shit show. So, yeah. It's a complete... It's... I do not understand. But I have heard there are other people, and I have met other people that have these same skills of luck when it comes to restaurants, and especially like restaurants, the service in the restaurants, the food in the restaurant, anything. It's strange. Okay. So, but anyway, the personal policy thing here, I'll read it. I have a personal policy against blank, because if I blank one, I feel like I have to blank them all. I just can't afford it, and if I had to choose, I wouldn't want anyone I love to think I value them more or less than anyone else. I mean, you can't argue with that too much, so that's pretty cool. I wrote this down. I have it written down, and it's in here to remind me. Not giving a hoot is, and reserving your hoots for what's really important, is an evolving process. It's not going to be perfect at first. You're not going to catch them all at first. You will slowly and carefully catch each and every one, and you will work your way through it. I see that my battery is getting low, or the memory is getting low, so I'm going to stop. I'll be right back. Hi. Okay, and I'm back. So, for friends, strangers, and acquaintances, and related items, she threw in right at the end there on it, meaning like I put it as places and places that I encounter any of these people. So for me and friends, I had like their siblings, laughter, deep talks, their house, so it's anything that I may or may not, their politics, their religion, anything that I may or may not give a hoot about. Acquaintances, like their vacation plans, their opinions of me, once again, their politics, their family, their religion. For strangers, calls, incoming phone calls from strangers, outgoing call to a stranger, personal space bubbles, navigating a trust level with caution and discernment and intuition, because I have real trust issues. So yeah, that's the thing. Related places, or related items and places, I had like restaurants, we were discussing theme parks, a theater, campgrounds, the beach, what else do I have here? Oh, like libraries, hospitals, school campuses, places that you might find people or see people, especially strangers or acquaintances. And so, yeah. Stop turning the pages, Corey. All right. So, final category, family. figured out that this building that was there, the bottom floor was ancestors. The next floor up was like the wide and extended family, including in-laws and everything, like the family reunion from hell, where you really don't even know 90% of the people. Then the next floor up, the one that was more brightly lit and everything, that was important family figures. Now, it might not be necessarily the closest people to me, but as people I guess that I had considered were important members of the family throughout, I guess, my life. And then on the tippy top, the garden terrace, is my absolute closest family members. And there is, besides me, there's only 4 other people up there. And living or deceased, it didn't matter. Like, they were all included. And so, yeah. It's me, 2 living people, and 2 deceased people up on that top terrace. But that's okay. That's okay. Family is a thing. I feel all of a sudden I feel like I need to look at these cards again. Family is a thing. I don't know. Look at this. Each of them, it's not another person, but it's like a different kind of creature entirely. There's a little butterfly in here. It's the owl they're flying in. I don't know why. Oh yeah, and the owl, we're giving the egg to the hoot. Okay. I don't know why family. I really wanted to look at that for family. Okay. Maybe the egg is part family. I don't know. I guess there's very family. Family isn't always you. Family isn't always who you are, I guess. Family can look very different from you. Okay. Alright, so going on into this, just a couple of things that she had said about it. Oh, come on. Okay, this is funny. She said, like the IRS, your family exists to fuck with you. So, yeah. It's like a percentage of your income that automatically goes to taxes. There's a certain percentage of your hoots that goes straight to your family. If you feel if you feel guilty, you have failed in not giving a hoot. You don't have to care about the same things or their personal things just because you share the same DNA or some DNA. You don't have to care about their things or their personal things or their personal issues or the same things as them just because you share some DNA. However, sometimes in a family, a teacup is not a teacup. Sometimes it's entirely different. You might be talking about a teacup, but you're not talking about a teacup. You're having a deep, emotional conversation with somebody. Sometimes it's even somebody that they just don't know how else to have it. And so even if you don't care about that damn teacup that they're talking about, you know that's not what they're talking about. And just talk to them anyway. They might need you. They might need to share with you. It might be a memory that you get to keep in your mental barn or warehouse forever, long after they're gone. Just do that. Make sure you know that. That's something that sometimes opinions and feelings are really tied together. And especially a family or very close relations. I'm a big culprit of this. My feelings and my emotions and my feelings and my opinions do sometimes get all tied up together. But I am learning to untie that. So some of the little things that I had found in family that I like, their loud opinionated friends. Theirs loud opinionated friends. Feeling judged by my choices from them. Expected to have relationships with people that I barely even know, but they're family. Feeling like a stranger at my own family's like party. I went up the house, so I went through each floor and encountered all the situational things that I needed to. Found the next stairway, went up to the next floor, went through that one. People walking. And so I kept going up the floors and, encountering different people and realizing different things that maybe they might have taught me, or something that I do or don't give a fuck about them about, or about. So continuing on, some of them get pretty good. Like, being smart and ridiculous at the same time is totally reasonable. Feeling loved and not a burden. Feeling like love or being loved is a burden. Neglect. Feeling loved and supported. Feeling like I matter to someone. Feeling like I have been blessed by a miracle. So, some family things that I created in this chapter. And then finally, I wanted to go over. I made some things besides all of the little I'm losing the hoots. Besides all the hoots that are in the hoot budget, and maybe let's pull one for us right now. Oh, I was gonna do the one that was left in my hand. All right. Fresh out of fucks and embracing inner peace. The wine is helping. All right. Yeah, so I wrote up a little thing on that personal policy to keep that with me. And then I also made cheat sheets for myself for the depression and the anxiety. So after you go through and you've written out all your lists, she then takes you, she says, all right, go back. Look at the list that you've written. And she wanted you to do it with like a big magic marker. But I wanted to be able to read them still because I had other purposes. And so I just put lines through them. But going through and crossing out anything, it's like, does it bring joy or does it annoy? Annoy, out. Does it, And when you cross that out, you're like, fuck you. Fuck off. Get the hoot out of here. So we're back through, shake, 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 cross out, cross out. And I came up with some things. I do want to kind of share these though. So I'm going to start with anxiety. For anxiety, I have a little cheat sheet of hoots that you don't need to fucking give. Old, cluttered, uncomfortable, or complicated things. Treating myself poorly. Eating or thinking of perfection. Building interiors. Like building insides, interiors of buildings that have mass amounts of people. I do not give a fuck about that. Uniformed people, official uniforms people that have power over me, freak me the fuck out. I don't give a hoot about that. Okay. Feeling inadequate. Don't give a fuck about that. Friends' opinions or thoughts about me. No hoots, no hoots, no hoots. Incoming phone calls. Feeling judged, perceived family expectations. Impressing anyone. Fears of not being enough. No hoots. Hoot, 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 hoot. No, no, no. Okay. And for depression, I have one. Is here's hoots that you give. Soft, comfortable, cleared spaces and easy things. Kitties and movies. Pretty pictures and magic. Creative things. Dancing, plants, trees. Wrapping up my orders. Laughter and pets. Deep talks and college nostalgia. Being in my space bubble. Theme parks. Singing. Being ridiculous. Vanilla. And that gets me through part 2. Part 3, we learn how to not actually even give a hoot about these things. Right now, we figured out what we think we don't want to give a hoot about. Part 3, maybe I'll learn how to actually do that. I hope that you're enjoying this. If not, give a hoot. And go ahead and send some magic down to that thumbs up, subscribe. That's my first time I've ever said that. How fun. And I'll see you next time. Bye.